Welcome back to Certain Real Estate Podcast. Today I'm joined by Dana Flanagan, a real estate leader, sales strategist, coach, speaker, and personal branding expert with more than 2 decades of experience in real estate sales, media, and business development. Dana has built a successful real estate career, worked across multiple markets, appeared in the media, developed sales and follow-up system for agents, and created programs designed to help real estate professionals improve their confidence, visibility, and production. Dana, thank you so much for joining Soren Podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. The very first thing that is always interesting that I ask every single agent is that about their journey. So let us know, Dana, before we discuss everything else, I just wanted to know how did you originally get into real estate and what made you believe it could become a long-term career for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually got started in real estate at a really young age. My aunt, who I'm very close with, was a top producing agent in my hometown in Connecticut, where I was from. And as when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, she
Mhm.
started bringing me into the office with her to kind of give me little side jobs. So she'd pay me like a nickel to per card that I had to fill out, like a just sold card, because at the time they were all handwritten. And so that's how
Mhm.
I made, I make up $5, $10. And I helped her out and I was around business people. And I
Wow.
saw these, at the time, everybody came into the office. Everybody had car phones, which I thought was so cool. And,
Yeah.
and I got to really see the hustle and bustle of a real estate office. And I thought, oh my God, I love this. I love the energy. They were all making money. They all dress nice and they look like they really enjoyed their job. So I continued, helping her through the years. And then when I was right after high school, I got my real estate license and I started working with her. But at that time, she was kind of phasing out and retiring. And so I really didn't get to work with her the way I had hoped. And I just sort of did my business. I think it was a kind of a blessing in a way because she had her own way of doing business, which was kind of more of an old school way. And then
Yeah.
I crafted my way of doing business and I took off and became, a top producing agent. So it was a really fun story to tell because I'm really close with her. And, she kind of got me into that career.
Awesome. That's great. It reminds me of that famous quote that says, surround yourself with the people that help you grow. And I think that's 100% true. So you had that environment from the beginning, that business, that positive energy from that environment. So you had it all over yourself and that made you the oldest. So that's great. So was there a specific transaction, client, or moment early in your career that made you realize you could become highly successful in this industry?
Yeah, so she had to help me with my first couple transactions. And
Mhm.
then I had those were friends, my friends buying their homes at that time. And I would do all these open houses for listing agents that had listings.
Mhm.
And I
Exactly.
would, listing after listing, right? I would go show the house, people would come to the open house, but I didn't have any clients. And at that time, we didn't have all the follow-up systems that we have now. We didn't have
Mhm.
like the CRMs and we had email, but we didn't have, I had to personally email them. I had to
Mhm.
personally call them. We didn't even have text really at the time. I'm really dating
Exactly.
myself now. But, this is about 2001. So, um, I would reach out to them by email and I would go do another open house the next weekend. And it was sort of it was disheartening. Like I just wasn't getting any clients. And then a
Mhm.
woman walked through the door and it was a $575,000 house. At the time was a really big
Wow.
listing for me to be at.
Yeah.
And she walked in and she said, I don't have an agent. I'm getting divorced and I need a house and I have money. Can you help me? And I was like, hallelujah. So so we ended up working together and she was a very high maintenance client, but we ended up working together and I sold her a $600,000 house.
Wow, that's great. That's great. You could tell her, hey, where have you been coming from heavens? That's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Cool. So now let's talk about building a high producing business that you have. You have experienced the business as a high volume agent and have worked with clients across different markets and price points. What were the most important habits, systems, or relationships that help you grow from being a new agent into an established producer and a highly rated agent?
Yeah, so I think it's consistency for sure. Consistency
Consistency.
is so
Mhm.
important in this business. If you're not consistent, you have to do the, you know, the unsexy work all the time. And
Yeah.
so what looks glamorous online, the fun videos and people showcasing these gorgeous homes and looking like they're having a great time and driving the nice cars, that's just really like the surface. Like that's the end result. The work, the results come from the work that nobody really sees you doing behind the
Mhm.
scenes. And it's that work where people feel like, well, it doesn't really matter if I do this or not. Right? It does matter because that is the foundation and the framework for your business. And it really goes that way with anything. You have to be consistent, your consistent follow-up, your consistent lead generation, you're consistent on holding open houses or
Exactly.
having a full pipeline of buyers and sellers. That consistency is what builds those full pipelines and what fuels and propels your business.
Exactly. I think not just in real estate, but in any business. I think maybe in real estate even more. Consistency is absolutely, a growing factor. You want to grow. You want to go to the next level. You got to be consistent in the things that you do because that's how everything goes. You keep failing, failing. You keep sucking at something until you don't. So that's something that people need to believe. And you're 100%. I love how you actually
Yeah, I
express
call
that.
it
I love
failing
it.
forward. I mean, you have to fail forward many times and you
Exactly.
will, but you will fail forward many times. And that's just part of the business. And, you know, success does not come without the failure.
I love that. And that phrase is great. Fail forward. There is no
Yeah.
failing backward. There's always forward. I love it. I
Mhm.
love it. So, one thing that I also wanted to ask is that was your growth driven more by referrals, prospecting, online marketing, personal branding, or building a team around you? How was it?
It was a combination, through the years as things
Mhm,
evolved. It was really social media was
mhm,
sort of just, I attacked Facebook in 2006 when it was very new. And
mhm,
I started realizing, wow, this is a free place that I can put my listings and showcase what I do and really build a brand and a name for myself. So social
exactly.
media was a huge piece of it. And obviously creating a personal brand, which I always tell people is so important to create that personal brand around yourself, differentiate
Mhm,
yourself from the competition in some way and brand yourself. Don't necessarily worry about the company that you work for because that can come and go. Your brand is going to follow you wherever you go. And if you can really build that brand, people are going to remember you for
mhm.
what you do and they're going to look to you as that expert and authority in your market, regardless of whatever company you're with. So,
Exactly.
creating that personal brand, getting out there on social media, being visible to your audience, letting people know how you can help them and what makes you different from your competition.
Exactly. You said it very well. You said it very well. Being everywhere, letting them that you exist when they need you, that's something that people need to do.
Mhm.
Awesome. Now let's talk about your current real estate market and growth. Your career has included many places, South Florida, luxury real estate, and now a broader real estate network through the Elevated team and Epic Realty. For listeners who are discovering you for the first time, where is your own real estate business primarily, center today, and what does your current role in the industry look like?
So, a couple of things. So, I don't actually sell houses anymore. So, I
Mhm,
do agent attraction for my personal organization, and I am very big on building an organization of agents that know, like, and trust you that will
mhm,
follow you anywhere, right? So, I am aligned with one of the largest companies in the world, and when people join my organization they're getting a a huge support team, right? And it's
mhm,
not has nothing really to do with the brokerage. It has to do with the people that I've aligned myself with that are the top of the top in the industry.
mhm,
So they're coming in and they're getting somebody that's going to onboard them. They're getting somebody that's going to go over the application with them. They're getting
mhm.
somebody that's going to be there to help them go through all the onboarding documents. Then there's going to be a training. So it's easy to be able to help them find their way initially when they first join, whether they're a new agent or an experienced agent. When agents, regardless, an experienced agent's too busy to do all the paperwork and get involved with
Yes.
that. They want somebody to just show me where to sign, show me what I need to do. And a new agent is going to be lost, regardless of whatever, company you're with. So having somebody help you along the way and hold your hand as
Mhm.
you join the company is a huge piece of it. So
Yes.
I'm mostly focused on growth. And I also do some training, and I also have a listing lead platform that helps agents get over 400% more listings. And they
Wow.
can find that at 72dana.com. It is a proven system that has been on national television. And right now, agents can go in and they can reserve their specific zip code directly for them. So they can capture their entire town or their market, however big that zip code is. Every agent gets one zip code. It is a free training. Also is going to be a listing lead source that is going to be driving traffic from national television advertising. So that's a really big piece of what I'm working on right now. And again, it's all about growth and expansion and helping move
Exactly.
that agent's business forward.
Exactly. What was the address again?
It's 72dana.com. So DANA. So,
72dana.com. To
right. And
anybody
all
that
they
is
have to do is
listening, check it out.
they just have to sign in and they'll get free training and then they can reserve their zip code. There's a button there that'll say reserve my zip code. I highly recommend doing that. The national television advertising that's going to drive leads to them is going to be out at the end of this year.
Yeah, got it. That's actually amazing. That's amazing. Cool, awesome. Now let's talk about evolving beyond personal production. So many agents spend their entire careers focused only on closing their next transaction. But you have
Mhm.
expanded into coaching, sales strategy, marketing, media, and business system. What motivated you to move beyond personal real estate production and begin helping other professionals build their business?
Yeah, it's really an exit strategy, honestly, planning for
Mhm.
the future. And when you're on that transactional, real estate's very transactional, right? You're always
Yeah.
chasing the next listing or the next sale. It
Yes.
is an opportunity for you to be multifunctional in the real estate world and offer value to open doors to opportunities for yourself. So I've done the sales process so many times. I sold over 100 homes a year, and it will burn you out. It did for me, and I thought to myself, there's got to be more than just doing this the rest of my life. So I looked
Exactly.
at other opportunities. I've looked at leadership opportunities. I've taken some leadership opportunities. I do business growth for coaches and for listing lead platforms, and I do agent attraction, which builds a revenue share downline for myself. So that is residual income every month based on the agent's transactions that are in your organization. So
Exactly.
I have several streams of income under my real estate umbrella. And yes, I can still list and sell houses, but quite frankly, I'm so busy with everything else. I don't really want to. 25 years in the industry of doing that. I also have team members, I have referral partners. And so for me, that was the evolution of my real estate business, and it's still evolving. At some point, I'd like to have a big enough organization where I'm not, I don't have to work ever again. And that will happen. It's just you got to have a plan, because at some point,
Exactly.
no one really retires from real estate, right? Like you don't go to a realtor retirement party.
Exactly. I never
So
seen one.
exactly, exactly.
Exactly. It really says sky is the limit. You got to understand that part. And I think what you're doing exactly are the next step that somebody's going like, I'm just tired of transactions. I want to go to the next level. What is that? But again, not a lot of agents reach to this level. So congratulations.
Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
So now let's talk about the elevator team and agent role. So I think you mentioned it somehow. You have built the elevator team in partnership with Epic Realty, with agents
I yeah,
located
I don't
across.
actually have that anymore. So I don't
Yeah,
I
you
don't
don't
I
have
don't
it. So
no,
how
I
what?
don't. Nope. So
So
I have
how?
my organization at eXp Realty, and so
Oh,
I am, yeah, that team is a few years ago, and I have since brought people over to my organization at eXp and have grown my
mhm,
downline there, but I don't manage agents anymore. And we actually moved states. So we moved from Connecticut to North Carolina, and when I did that, I started dissolving my team in that area because, again, I was just really burnt out and I would rather have agents in my organization that I can support on a national level than be working in the transactional space anymore.
Awesome. So how was this experience of moving into EXP? Like, I think a lot of people are in EXP. I've talked with a lot of agents that are in EXP. I know that how the organization works, but how was your experience? You have more freedom over the things. So what do you love specifically about it? Tell us about
I really like the people that I'm aligned with. So I
it.
specifically aligned myself, and I will tell you, I left EXP back in 2021 and I came back. I've tried all
Oh.
the other brokerages out there. A lot of people are trying to be like them. I it's so important that the tools work, right? Like the
Mhm,
revenue share is transparent. I can see my dashboard. I can see my downline. I know who's doing what. A lot of these companies are trying to mimic some of the bigger brands, but they
mhm,
don't have the transparency. The payouts aren't correct and there's a lot of really sketchy things that happen behind the scenes that I have personally seen that I don't want to be a part of. When the reporting is not transparent and I can't tell somebody else that's about to join my organization how these things work so that they
mhm,
can physically see it on their computer screen, it's a problem. So I think having the support of my upline and my sponsors, which I made sure when I came back, I aligned myself with the best of the best at the company. These
mhm,
are people that make $200,000 to $400,000 a month in revenue share. They have
mhm,
organizations of 9, 10,000 agents. And so they've built a system within a system. So we really have our own network and our own organization inside the company, but it doesn't really involve, the company too much, right? So we have our own training, we have our own onboarding, we have our own, calendar of events and things like that. So we really have made it super simple for the agents to join us. And honestly, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I've tried a lot of other places, and a lot of people are just spinning their wheels and they don't know how a lot of these revenue share models work, and they're not familiar with how to implement them to attract leaders. You can implement a
mhm,
revenue share program all day long, but if you
mhm,
don't implement a program that is going to be attractive to leaders such as myself, who are going to be bringing over heavy hitters and big players, it is not going to work. You're going to end up floundering because I know what those leaders want and what they're looking for. And if there's something off with the structure of the downline or how people are stacked or how the payouts work per level, you're going to have a
mhm.
problem. And I've experienced all that. I know every company's
Exactly.
revenue share model. And if anybody out there is looking for a change and looking to be with a real tried and true team, I can tell you I've tried it all. I've done it for you.
Yeah, exactly. And if you need that kind of, I think you should contact Dana right now because definitely, yeah, exactly. I'm being honest here because we are trying to a lot of kind of brokerage. You have, went from this brokerage to another one, and then you are telling me, hey, I'm back to the XP. There is a reason. I think smart people always hear the experience and stuff, the people that have gone through everything and kind of tested if it's working out. But awesome. I love that. I love that. Now let's talk about lead generation and follow-up because I think that was something that you mentioned as well. You now help agents improve their sales process, follow. You said it very well, a system within system.
Mhm.
Probably you have a follow-up system, an online visibility, and client actually conversion. Where do you believe most real estate agents are losing business today? Generating, too few opportunities, responding too slowly, failing to follow up consistently.
Mhm.
You mentioned that, or failing to build enough trust before asking for an appointment. So, what is that
Mhm.
big point?
I think the biggest points are, first of all, lack of follow up. I mean, agents think they get a lead, they follow up like once or twice, and then they throw it away. They don't have any way of nurturing the lead, so they don't put it into a CRM. And agents are the worst about this, right? They're the absolute worst
I
about
know.
systematizing their business. And, when you're not systematizing your business, you're just throwing leads out the window and potential clients. They might not be a client today, but they might be a client next year. So nurture them, put them in your nurture sequence, start dripping on them with email, text, and drip campaigns. That's where I think a lot of agents fail. And it's such an important piece that gets missed so often. I also feel like agents are they're so hung up on leads, leads, leads. And while I get that, that's super important to fueling your business, they're chasing business instead of attracting business. So that's where it actually comes to take a step back, build your brand, build a presence and visibility so people know who you are, build that rapport and trust with your audience so people feel like they know, like, and trust you and that you're the obvious choice when it comes to listing, buying, or investing in real estate. So those are some of the things that I would say to work on. And then get involved with some good listing lead sources. Now, the one I mentioned before, which is it's called 72 Smart, it's been around for years. Agents, there's proven numbers that agents have closed over 400% more listings than agents that don't use the program, and they sell their listings for 6.3% more. So that's a program that I would highly recommend. And those leads are coming to you. You are the dedicated agent in your zip code. So go and reserve at 72dana.com. Reserve your zip code right now before it's gone because agents are signing up every day. I had somebody call me yesterday
Exactly.
and say, all the zip codes in our area are gone. I'm like, well, that's because it's from my hometown in Connecticut, and that's where I have a lot of friends. So everybody signed
Mhm.
up already. So, you know, get yourself a system. And if you don't have a CRM or some sort of email sequence and nurture sequence, you need to get that because you're missing, you get leads, but if you're not putting them into a nurture sequence, you're actually wasting money and you're missing opportunities.
Exactly. I can't see it. I'm talking with a lot of agents, honestly, Jay, and I think this is something that a lot of agents actually or misunderstand or doesn't understand at all. Like, you gotta be ahead of it. You said something very nice. In 2006, you were very new in Facebook. You were killing it because you were new to it, and you know, wait, this is a big opportunity. And the same thing is happening right now to the agent. Like, I mean, I would say that the person that is not using CRM, oh my God, like, oof, they
Yeah.
are below zero. Can't even imagine that. But the person that is not using AI right now, AI is the future. Like, that's
Hmm.
something that is happening. I hear from a lot of agents, some agents kind of telling, some agent actually told me a couple of days ago, he said that my client asked ChatGPT if I should work with this person. And surprisingly, ChatGPT said, no, this is not a good agent for you. Go and work with this one. And he called me and said, I'm not going to work with you, which was unbelievable. So people need to kind of remember how to be recommended on AI. That's because
Mm, yeah.
buying a property is a big finance, probably the biggest financial, decision for somebody. So agents
Yeah,
need to
absolutely.
understand that. This is something that I'm telling to agents all over the US, and those that listen definitely. And this is a big opportunity because this is the beginning of AI era. So
Hmm.
you can do it very easily in a couple of years. Probably it will be very hard.
Hmm.
Cool,
Hmm.
cool. So you mentioned personal branding, media, and online visibility a lot of times. So you have used television, speaking, social media, PR, and personal branding to create visibility beyond traditional real estate advertising. And I love that personally. How important is it for agents today to become, recognizable authorities in their market rather than simply appearing as another agent, offering the same service? What do you think
Yeah,
is?
it's super important. I mean, with AI now and with there, everybody always says, "Oh, my market is so saturated." I heard somebody today say, "Oh, it's so saturated in such and such state." I'm like, "It is saturated everywhere." There are a lot of realtors and licensed agents.
Mhm.
There are very few agents that actually produce real numbers, right? So
Exactly.
74% of all the agents out there did not sell a home last year. So you've got a lot for the taking, right? But everybody complains, oh, it's so saturated. There's too many agents in my area. There's a lot of licensed agents. The agents that are actually doing business, what are they doing differently? They're being visible. I see the same agents that are closing business online doing really great reels and video,
Exactly.
social media posts, asking for the business, having different ways that they post, whether it's funny, serious, controversial, informational. They're getting in front of media and publications so that they're relevant. People want to work with people that are relevant, again, that
Exactly.
they know, like, and trust. So
Exactly.
it's important to just kind of shut out all the noise and don't worry about all the, oh, there's too many agents. Be one of those agents. Be one of those
Mhm.
top producing agents and put yourself in front of the right people so that you can get those opportunities and they're coming to you and you're
Exactly.
not chasing them.
Exactly. Exactly. But Dana, for an agent with a limited budget, where would you recommend they should put their focus first? Their website, Google presence, social media, video, email marketing, or local relationship?
Yeah, so for an agent with a limited budget, I mean, you can create a sales page or a website from Claude now. So you don't have to go
Exactly.
spend $5,000 on an expensive website. You're linking it to an IDX feed for MLS is might be a little bit of a problem with that, but you don't have to spend $5,000 on a website. You can create a sales page that talks about who you are, and then you put an email capture on the page with maybe like an inquiry form, and that will drive that lead to you. So you don't need something fancy. You can invest in a lead source like the one I keep telling you about, 72 Smart or 72 Smart, which is 72dana.com. You go there, that's free. It's going to be
Excellent.
free training, which is going to help you get trained. The training's fantastic. And then you're going to be eligible to get the leads in your zip code. And when those leads become available at the end of the year, it's only going to be about $100 to $250 a month for the agent. And then you do, of course, owe a referral fee back to the company, but that's once you close. So you want
Exactly.
to try to find listing lead sources that are a referral fee at closing first instead of paying for Zillow leads. I mean, might as well just throw your money out the window, honestly. I did it for years. It worked when there was a lot of inventory. Now, in certain areas, like my home state of Connecticut, where I'm from, there's no inventory. So I dropped Zillow before we moved. I dropped Zillow months or years before I moved because there was no inventory. If there's only two houses in your zip code, how are they going to split up all the leads with all the agents that are paying? It doesn't
Exactly.
work. So going and doing open houses for agents that are having a lot of listings and maybe you don't have any, offer to do an open house for them. Go sit at the open house and work on picking up the buyers. Most likely, some of those buyers are going to have something to sell, and that might be how you're going to get more listings. So you got to put yourself out there and you got to do the unsexy work, right? Going and sitting
Mhm.
in an open house on a Sunday by yourself, maybe nobody comes. It's not the most fun thing. Trust me, I've done it a million times. I've lugged the signs back and forth in the rain and nobody shows up. And it's just part of what you have to do to be able to get reap the rewards of this business.
I love how you say it. You gotta do the unsexy work. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
going to the gym. It's like going to the gym. Like, nobody wants to go to going to the gym. Yeah, we all hate it. Come on, like who
Mm-hmm.
wants to go there, having pain and agony, like kind of shouting, doing all those, heavy lifting and all of that. But the point is, if you do it, like that's the test. That's what you gotta do. You do it, and if you do it, you're going to reap the rewards, which is having a
Right.
better body. In real estate example, it is like closing
Yep.
a deal and growing. I love that.
You
Very
got to
good.
put in the reps. You got to put in the reps.
Exactly. Exactly. So I wanted to also ask as final question, actually, I wanted to ask about your priorities for the next stage of your life. As you look at the next stage of your business and life, which area you are most focused on? Is it your personal brand, your coaching program, your marketing and authority service? So what is it?
Yeah, so right now I'm really focused on my business consulting firm, which is obviously for real estate agents, brokerages, and businesses out there. It's not just for real estate. So that's called the Authority Architect, and we help with executive advisory. Basically, we're business strategists, and we also can do PR media and events. So that is one thing that I'm focused on. I'm also really focused on rolling out this 72 Smart platform because we really only have 4 months to get this out there or to get enough agents signed up. We need 18,000 agents signed up with their preferred zip code in order to
Wow.
roll out this national advertising. This is national TV commercial advertising. We've done it once before and we had so many leads that we didn't have enough agents in the zip codes to service it. That was the
Wow.
problem. So now with this particular format of the way that we're rolling it out, we're making sure that we have agents in all the zip codes of the markets that we're rolling this out in before we do it this next time because we don't want sellers coming to us ready to sell their home. These are booked seller listing appointments of sellers that are ready to sell their home. And then
Exactly.
if we don't have an agent to service them, that's a problem. So it's kind of like we're wasting our money throwing our TV advertising dollars out the window if we don't have somebody to service them. So those are the two things that I'm really working on right now. Of course,
Awesome.
growth for my organization. With EXP, we have the best organization. We also give leads from our organization as well. So that is specifically with the person that I'm partnered with. So if an agent's looking for leads, I'm your resource and they can reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help them.
Exactly. I wanted to ask what is your last piece of advice, but I think you said it very loud again. Like, you need any agent that is looking. I think you got to reach out to Dana. She mentioned it a couple of times how you can reach it. You got to sign up with her program. I think that's the best place to start and improve their career and get into the next thing. Awesome. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much it, Dana. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation and coming to the podcast. And I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks
And if
again.
anybody's
Thanks again.
looking to if anybody's looking to find me, you can email me at dana@danaflanagan.com. And my website is danaflanagan.com. So you can find me on
Awesome.
social media as well under the same name.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. So everybody, I think if you need help in your real estate journey, Dana is right here to help you. Thank you so much again, Dana, and we will see you very soon. I hope to see you again in the next episodes, actually, next podcast. Thank you again.
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you.